Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu, broadcasting live every Monday at 12 noon Pacific Time.
Welcome, everyone, to my Sex, Lies, and Consciousness show, where I have real-time conversations about sex with my friends and colleagues. These conversations are like the kind that I have in the car, driving on long trips with my girlfriends, where we get to talk about our current relationship with our sex. And today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Emelie Archer. She's going through what I called her sexpansion. She's expanding into her sex and her relationships and her ways of loving and ultimately her true self. And today's show is perfect if you're on the verge of breaking out or wanting to break out, breaking up your relationship paradigm, breaking up old molds and contracts that you've had with yourself and with the people around you, and so that you can unleash yourself. This conversation is actually very near and dear to my heart. I went through something like this about 7 years ago, and I know this explosive terrain very well, and it's very courageous, Emelie, to join today and be able to talk about what's happening in her life publicly while she's in the midst of all of her life breaking open. Everything is at risk. Everything is gained family. So fasten your belt and please listen with best love, Emelie. And here we go. Welcome, Emelie.
Thanks so much. I am so excited to be here.
Well, me too. And I'm also a little, my body's a little trembling, anticipating what comes for the show. So, tell a little bit. Give a little bit about you and what relationship was like, the status quo, so people can have a starting place with you, and then bring us into today.
Okay, well, my husband and I have been together for 10 years plus, and we met when I was 21 years old, and had a slight period of long distance followed by 9.5 years of strict togetherness and no one else. We never broke up. We never got back together. It was just us. And we decided to get married about 6 years ago and had a son 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And in the process of becoming a wife and a mother, I felt like I lost my identity as a woman. And that I felt like I was starving for some sort of food for my soul. I knew that there was more to me than these roles that I was playing. And so I didn't know where to go with this. It's like, do I just try and initiate sex more? Do I put on some lingerie? How do I do this? How do I feed myself again? Because I realized that it's a really big part of my identity, and it's not coming to fruition. And so I had made a few really deep friendships, thank God. And one of the women I'm friends with said, you may want to consider opening your relationship, because I don't know that one person can be all of that for you or for anyone. And I think that it's fairly unrealistic of our society to perpetrate this myth over and over again that there's a happily ever after Prince Charming for every princess, and no one looks at what happens after the wedding and after the baby. It's like, oh, you must have everything you want, and your life must be perfect. You have a house, and you have a white picket fence, and a beautiful baby, and a golden retriever, and a handsome husband, and how can you possibly dare to ask for more than that?
Yeah, and there's also a very common belief, too, that I just saw your husband, so, he is very handsome, and he's, and it's like, shouldn't that be enough? Shouldn't that be enough for the rest of your life? why would you want anything else or anything more?
Right.
What's wrong with you? It kind of goes together.
Yes.
What's wrong with you, Emelie?
Oh, a lot of things, I'm sure. But I'm fixing myself up right proper now these days.
Yes.
So my friend suggested that I look into open relationships, and I was frankly unexposed to this concept as a general rule. I mean, my dad was unfaithful to my mom, and so my perception of extramarital relationships was that they're probably terrible,
Yep.
that they undoubtedly break down the marriage, and that they're full of lies and deceit, and only awful people think that way.
Exactly. And we're only shown the model of cheating and lying and hurting people. We are never shown the model of, oh my gosh, honey, I think I'm feeling this and I want to open that, and can we, and can we do this together, kind of thing.
Right.
Rarely do we get to talk about that.
There's very few opportunities. There's very little support. There's not much in the way of resources for people who are exploring this path. And thank God there are a few good books out there, which I read, and one of which was The Ethical Slut, and the other was called Opening Up.
Yeah.
And what those provided to me was not only a framework for potential structure for our open relationship, but also conversation prompts, so that when I approached my husband out of the blue with this idea, I positioned it in such a way that didn't become an attack on him and his lack.
Right.
More of a principle of abundance, of the fact that everybody needs more love, more fulfillment, more intimacy, and that he must also be hungry, because if you're hungry in a relationship, it's no doubt that you're not the only one, that the other person must feel some sense of lack, and it's not an attack on them.
I'm going to have to slow you down on that one, because, it sounds really good between you and I, since we know this terrain. And it's really a delicate area. It's like,
it is.
How do you even open your mouth and say, honey, I need to talk? I mean, even that signal that something's not right here, and we need,
I mean, it was terrifying. It was a frankly terrifying conversation to have, because I didn't know. I had no guarantee that he would be receptive.
Right.
And I had no guarantee that he wouldn't judge me.
Yeah.
And so I still had to do it. I mean, I was compelled that this process and path was going to be worth whatever came out of it, whether it was a dissolution of our marriage or whether it was an opening of our relationship. Maybe eventually both would happen. I mean, there's no guarantee. But it's worth it. It's worth it for your own sexual fulfillment and your own intimacy needs.
Yeah, and so I totally get the worth it, but I want to, again, slow this down, because every step of the way is a contradiction, right? Because that is not what the marriage vow said or set up to be. So marriage vow never say for better or for worse, and especially when you want to expand your sex.
We did not write that in our vow.
No, not yet, but you know what? We're going to have to pitch for that. It's like, here's a new vow, eventually one of us is going to want to expand into our sex. And so how do we make room and space for that? Because the marriage vow has an assumption that you turn that thing off to be with me. So that you are you're not a threat to me, and I'm not a threat to you, and we're not a threat to our family, so that we can just focus on this thing.
It's really unprecedented. And even if you have a conversation model provided to you from a friend or a book, your individual relationship is so unique that you still have to really think about how to talk about it.
Yeah.
How do you have this conversation? How do you have the courage to start it and the courage to stick with it?
Right.
Even when it gets hard, because that's not the only time you're going to have a tough conversation.
Exactly.
Once you open your relationship, there's more communication needed than you ever had before, which in my opinion is only a good thing for your relationship. You're forced to talk through issues. You can't hide anything, or it's no longer an open relationship and you become a cheater. And that's not okay.
That's
not
right.
For me.
Not for me either. So I had the same stance as you. It's like, there's just no way that I'm going to go, underground on this, and why would I open my sex up so that I can go into a closet about this, and why would I want to cheat and lie? I'm not doing anything bad and wrong here.
And what's wrong with the big picture that to be open and honest about what you want, even if it's unconventional, is so much more frowned upon than cheating?
Yes.
If there's an actual word for a mistress, there's no word for a woman's partner except for lover, which isn't always appropriate. And that also kind of presumes that you're lying about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so why is that paradigm acceptable?
Yeah. Well, I have to share with you, like when I went through my sexpansion, I chose to be really open with my family and friends. I didn't shove it down my parents' throat because I knew that they just not in this lifetime do they want to do this work. So I didn't force that on them. But with my friends, I asked them, I said, I'm going through some big things. Do you want me to be honest with you or not? You know? Yeah. And so I chose to be honest with them. And one of my dearest friends, you know, she was fine hearing my stories along the way, and halfway into it, you know, probably about a year or so into my journey, one day she was just so, she couldn't handle the whole complexity.
Your life and hers.
Right, and the whole complexity of that. And she and her husband had cheated on each other several times and all that stuff, right? But she couldn't handle my upfrontness and my complexity. Right. That she actually said to me, you know, what is wrong with you and your husband? Like, you guys must have some mental disorder because you are so upfront about this thing. I can understand it if you are cheating and lying. I can support you. But to be upfront with this and to go around and say that you want this and you are doing that and you're having this, there's just something wrong with you mentally. Yeah. And I just watched that and I was like, whoa!
Well, you know, I think what it is that when you're honest, when you are blaringly honest, and you're willing to do that inquiry, you force the issue for people who aren't willing to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
And you make them feel inadequate just because they can't meet you there.
Yeah.
And so instead of turning around and looking at themselves and really asking for what they want in life, they'd rather not do that hard work. They'd rather lie to themselves and everyone else and call you crazy because it's easier.
Yeah. And to be the woman in that is causing all this.
I know, I'm there with you.
You know, I had to really learn how to like talk about this and how much and when to stop and when and like when I get to that place where they had enough and it's like, okay, I need to go now before they hurt me because they can't handle this. Yeah.
Right.
So
I've lost some friends.
Really? Tell me about that.
Because it actually wasn't an outcome of my open relationship per se. It was because I was opening my consciousness.
Yeah.
And because I started by becoming a parent who was very different than the normal parental style.
Right.
And so as my friends all grew to the young 30s and all started to have babies and we were all married and kind of at the same life stage, the drastic difference in my approach already made people uncomfortable. And so things started to just fade away. Certain relationships, certain couples just didn't call anymore, didn't really show much of an interest in maintaining the relationship. And so after a while, after you're the only one reaching out and trying to make it happen, it's like, okay, we're just not going to try anymore. We'll find new friends. Like, okay, we get it. And it doesn't become personal. You know, it's like, I'm not going to take that as I'm not worthy of their friendship. I'm just going to take that as they're not ready and moving on.
Yeah. So now today, tell us about what's happening today.
So today, let me tell you the time frame because it's been really fast. I am known for being a motherfucking fast implementer. So when I get an idea, it's like I have to do it immediately, and there's no waiting. And so I had this conversation with my husband in about October, and we talked about it and talked about it. And he was on board. He said, okay, I get it. I get the reasoning behind it. It like appeals to my biology. You know, I understand. And it sounds great. I'm willing to bet it's different in theory than in practice, but I accept. You know, let's go for it.
What what a brave man. I wanted to acknowledge and love him, like, oh, honey, sweetheart, you are the bravest man ever to say yes to this and to really vulnerably go into the unknown with your wife.
I mean, it's amazing. It really makes me love him as a person more.
Absolutely, yeah.
But so we talked about it, agreed in late October, November, and I had my first relationship in early December. And so it was like whoosh, fast, really fast. And it was really tough. That first time was really tough on him because he went away for the weekend and came back, and he had the intention of having a great time. He was up in the Bay Area. He was going to have this fun time at a party, and the fun time didn't happen, but it did for me.
Yeah.
And so he asked me, did anything happen? Or no, he texted me and said, well, nothing really happened. And I said, well, something happened for me. And he was like, oh. I mean, it was like one word text back, oh.
Oh.
And I was like, shoot. And I had to go pick him up from the airport. And my son was in the back seat in the car seat. And we're driving home having this authentically raw, emotional conversation about how hurt he was.
Yeah.
And about how can you do this? What are you, a sex addict? Why do you need this so much? And where does this leave me? And where does this leave Hudson? And did he meet Hudson? And is he going to be Hudson's new dad? And I mean, he just went way off the deep end emotionally. And I just sat there and I was like, I just watched.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I had acted in my integrity. And so I didn't feel bad about what happened. I felt bad about its effect on him.
Yeah.
And so I sat there with him and I witnessed him and I said, I'm here with you. I'm so empathetic to how you feel. I'm not going to apologize for what I did because it's in our agreement. And I'm glad that it happened because what I was thinking as it was happening was I am so grateful for him to allow me to live like this.
Yeah.
And I told him that, and he just looked at me, and he, had tears in his eyes. He's like, I hope I can get there,
Yeah, yeah. Again, I want to slow us down for a second because I want to bring, to the best of our ability, our empathy of what the guy has to go through in a situation like this. You're like this thriving, beautiful young woman who's full of life and who's full of now sex energy that is just like oozing and spilling out and have so much to give to everyone in the world, and except for him. like somehow that's what he sees,
That's how he felt initially.
Yeah.
I think what has helped bridge where he was emotionally to where he is now is that sexual energy has come back into our relationship.
Yeah.
And these outside relationships have done really nothing but fuel more intimacy between us.
Yeah.
And so while our relationship may continue to evolve and change, there's so much more love there now. There's so much better communication because of this, because it has forced our hands.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the intimacy and the kind of conversation you have to have with each other instead of the, how was your weekend, honey? Fine. What did you do?
Exactly.
Oh, I hung out. So anything special happened? No, not really.
No.
And then we shut ourselves from each other, right? And now here you have to,
I mean, it's amazing. The concept. I mean, we talk about it all the time. If there was only a fly on the wall with a video camera recording these conversations, because they're not how husbands and wives normally talk to each other.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Last night I was going off on a date, and he was like, so, is your Prince Charming going to drive, or is he going to come up on a horse? And I was like, well, a horse might take a little long, so I think he's probably going to drive up this way. And he's like, okay, well, have fun and fuck like donkeys. And I was like, I can't believe my husband is telling me to, go off, have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he knows everything. And that is so freeing. It's so freeing for both of us because there's no, hidden tension. There's no, anytime there is, a crazy upheaval emotionally, it's so quick and healed. It's like the cut gets deep, and then it stops bleeding immediately, and then the next day there's not even a scar left. I mean, it's incredible. The way that we communicate now is so seamless. It's tough sometimes, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah. And I still would love to have a show one day where we have the husband on and tell the story.
That would be hilarious because not only will he crack you up, but you can see it for yourself. I mean, the way that we talk, we had a dinner party, and my friends were like, what are you guys talking about? Like, I was talking about how one guy liked it this way, and one guy liked it that way, and how Justin likes it a third way that we only found out about through guy number 2. And, you know, it's like our friends just sit there and go, whoa, this is intense. Like, wow, that's real. That is real.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
I'm just sitting here, even though I know exactly what you're talking about, I'm still having this, like, that mesmerized, amazed look of, like, can that really possibly be real at a dinner party with quote-unquote normal people who are used to lying and not sharing about this kind of thing, you know, and it's just like, oh, it makes my heart just, like, swell up, you know, it's like, oh.
Because we give people permission to have uncomfortable conversations for the sake of their own authentic happiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, there's no guarantee of what will happen with me and my husband. I mean, I still don't know. I can't see a future anymore, whereas before I tried to box myself in. Like, I should be married by X, I should have a kid by X, we'll have 2.5 kids, we'll have a dog, we'll have the white picket fence, and boom, bada bing, done.
Right, and then you skip a bunch, and then you see the end is a porch with 2 rocking chairs, right? And I mean, like that.
And the middle, what the fuck's gonna happen in the middle?
Right, exactly. What's in the middle? That's what we want to know. And so now we're starting to know what's in the middle.
Soccer practice? Woo, that sounds freaking awesome.
And then you have a fair. And then you have an affair with the soccer coach, and then, you know, you get caught, and then somebody pull a gun on somebody, and then, you know, you go off and you have a bitter divorce, and then you know.
And instead, like, you know, my husband and I sit at sushi on Wednesday night, and he's like, so this guy you met sounds like an amazing connection. I've never seen you like this before. What's going to happen to us? And I said, I don't know. And he's like, that's a scary answer.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like an answer in itself. And I was like, well, no. It's just that I can't see the box. There's no more box.
Yeah.
And so
let's pull that out a little bit more, because that is a really tender place. Because, you know, like, he's in a place of having no control whatsoever about this. And especially, well, it's hard for both men and women in relationships together, but like he just I could just imagine him feeling really, I don't know, disempowered maybe, or like just lack of control, right? And then here is his wife that he took the marriage oath for life, looked at him and said, I don't know what happened to our relationship. You know, it just could sound so careless, and it could sound so uncaring and so non-committal, you know.
Right.
And I know that's not what you're trying to do, but I'm telling you, that's like a megaphone echoing out there into space. Like, I don't care about us anymore.
Yeah, and you know, I think what I followed up with that with really helped, and that was that although I can't see what our future looks like, because I can't see, the future is not real anyway, so trying to picture it is a lie, and I don't lie anymore.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that I do know is that I care deeply about you, that I always will, that we will always be a family, that I will always be there for you and our son, and that it may not look like anyone else's relationship, because it already fucking doesn't, and we are not normal, and that's okay and encouraged. You know, I just know that there is nothing but love and support in our future, whatever that future looks like.
Yeah. And you know, that you just reminded me, that is the one skill that's really needed in this space, which is, well, several skills actually. The communication from compassion, you know, like really, in order to do this with each other, I was going to use the word do it well, but who knows what well is, right?
Yeah.
Because you might think things are going well, but he might think things are really sucky. He's just trying to cope with this thing and looking like, you know, he's coming along because that's what you wanted, honey, you know. But in order to do this, we do have to just like be able to just speak through our fear. You know, like, I'm sure you're scared to death when he asks you what's going to happen to us. You're like, I don't know.
It scares me that I don't know the answer to that.
Right. And how
how
irresponsible of a mother and a wife can you be that you don't care like that, And again, it's like pulling that distinction out. It's not that I don't care. It's just I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm not willing to lie to myself or to you to give you some sense of comfort that is nothing but a blanket on a bed of thorns.
Yeah. No. Right. And that's it, like why most people when they hear about journeys like this, they immediately go to the assumption that, well, you're just a slut and you're just like a sex addict. I love that he threw that at you right up front. It's like, well, let's get that out of the way, like bring it on. I'm a sex addict and there's something wrong with me and psychotic and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, even though I've been monogamous for 10 years.
Right. And, and you can't control your sexual urges, so you're a sex addict. And it's like, oh, okay. I didn't know that sex addict was that quickly. I didn't know it could happen like that.
But sex addicts could have such a low sex drive for so long.
Oh, now you just open another pissed off anger thing that a man can go through. Like, how come you haven't turned it on with me all these years, and now you're going off and giving it to some other guy? And it's, oh my God.
It's okay. When it comes back home, it's much more taller now. I'm more inspired. I mean, you think like attracts like. And so when you are becoming sexually awakened, you want sex. You exude an energy of sensuality and sexuality. And so everything is sex.
Yes.
Good communication is sex. Dinner is sex.
Yes.
Sitting and rocking my baby to sleep is sex. Everything is sex.
Yes. It's a friend of mine just explained it to me the other day. He's like, a woman's sex is like a big flywheel. Like you want to keep that thing moving, keep it turning, because the minute it stops, you lose so much momentum, and it's hard to like get that started again.
Right.
And I'm telling you, there are so many women out there who our flywheel had stopped, dead, rusted, shut for many years. So did mine, Yeah. And but then when you share that, when I share that well, my sex was kind of shut down, when I was married and all that, then people would always go to that conclusion. Well, see, there was something wrong with your sex life. That's why you want more. It just couldn't be that your sex life was good. If your sex life is good with your husband, you wouldn't want anything more.
Yeah, that's a big story. And I think that could be true if all you want from life is sex. But for me, an open relationship is about that and more. It's about intimacy and a soul connection and finding an intellectual equal and art and beauty. And it's not just about fucking. If it was about fucking, I would have probably had an affair a long time ago, even if it was against my moral code. Because if sex was the only reason, then that becomes, an excuse.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's with each person, I get to access a different part of me. I just can't access, just like girlfriends, with girlfriend A, I do this with her. Girlfriend B, I do that with her. And girlfriend C, we do other things. And just because I love girlfriend A, B, and C doesn't mean that we would all have a great time on vacation together. Or I can get the same thing out of that or the other, right? And that's the same thing with men or with other partners, whatever your sexual orientation is. Yeah, and I can just, I want to know those parts of me. I don't just want to know this part of me. And when I know the other parts of me, it helps enhance this part of me when I'm with my partner, It's just so...
My relationships have become a spiritual practice, a practice of deepening into the universe within. And the universe without, because you find and honor the beauty in others through that type of connection. It really sets you into light. It sets you on fire. And you can't do that alone. Or you can't, I find it's nearly impossible to expect a single person to be able to light your fire with every single type of kindling there is.
Okay. Well, honey, let's take a break. And I see that we have a call-in. Oh, I'm so excited. With a question. So I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to bring Sarah on to ask her question. and then we'll talk a bit. I want to bring some more sex and more lies into the conversation. Like, what are you discovering about sex, honey? And then the lies and wherever else we need to go. Okay.
Awesome. I'm there with you.
Okay.
May is always looking for new angles on sex and lies to raise our consciousness. If you have ideas for a show, please contact her at may@mayvucoach.com. That's MAI at MAIVU coach.com. Or go to her page on Facebook, Sex, Lies, and Consciousness. While there, please like her page and add your suggestions.
All right, we're back. I'm here today with my friend Emelie Archer, my new friend, Emelie Archer. And Emelie and I are talking about her sex expansion. She's expanding into an open relationship with her husband and opening up her sex and opening up herself. And just really be honest with her desire and how she wants to live life. And Emelie, we have a caller. I'm so excited.
Yeah!
Just in case anyone else would like to call in for the show, the number is 646-200-0813. 646-200-0813. You can call in anytime, and my production manager will talk to you and get your question on and put you on the line. So, Sarah, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, Sarah, welcome to the show. And Emelie's right here, so feel free to ask us your question, honey.
Hi, Emelie.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. I am in a situation where I feel a little bit like a whore. because I'm financially dependent on a man right now. We have 2 kids, and I don't really enjoy sex right now. Hang on, there's an echo. I gotta see if I can fix it.
You sound really good to us, by the way. So.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, are you there?
Yep.
We're here.
Okay, it was my headphones. Sorry. And I feel like I need to either set him free soon and figure out what the hell is wrong with me, because we've been to therapy and we've done all kinds of things, and it's just nothing's working.
Yeah, Sarah, I think you have the show on in the background. Is that right?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so let's just let's see if we can address that. So first of all, Sarah, I can feel so much pain in you, and I want you to just know that there's nothing wrong with you. So let's just start there.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you. You're just in pain right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let us just love you for a second longer and say, Sarah, this place is really hard and scary, honey, and it stirs up all sorts of stuff and crap for us and for you. And so just want you to know that be really gentle with yourself and love yourself and don't judge yourself right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If you judge yourself, then you invite judgment from everyone. And so you have to start with self-love and self-respect and know that you are worth pleasure, you are worth love, and we each are. We each need to be honored, and we each deserve that. We each deserve joy at the soul level. And sometimes you have to act in a drastic way to get what you deserve. But you do so in a way that doesn't, without the intention of causing harm.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like your husband wants to open the relationship up. You feel dependent on him financially. That part makes it feel dirty and wrong to you. Is that right? And then there's something, and then you're really scared, and you don't like it. Something like that.
Well, I feel, like I've always been a very sexual person. I mean, from as far back as I can remember, I was touching myself and, there were several things that happened. I mean, I was raised Catholic. That was a big problem in some ways. But then, I had kids, and then I just, I think it happens to a lot of moms. You slowly lose it, right? You lose your desire. And, I think that because he wants it all the time, and I'm at the point now where I refuse to do it because I feel like if I do, I'm just giving in to this, dependency, or it's a guilt thing, and it's a, trying to fulfill my role, and I've built up some resentment because of that. And so I feel like, I need to, either set him free and then figure my shit out, or have some kind of open thing like Emelie, and hopefully he would still support me while I get my business going. And, so this is the situation I'm in. And then there's this whole fear of, well, then I know he's going to go out right away and find somebody who he can have sex with. And for me, I feel like it's going to take me months even to get interested again.
I think that that's a really common challenge, that one partner has a much easier time than the other finding external relationships. In my experience, which is granted very limited, the men that I've talked to have a harder time actually than the women, because other women typically aren't willing to settle for an open second place. As a mistress, there's always that chance that husband might leave, or that they can lie to themselves about what their status is. But when it's open and they know potentially, that your husband isn't going to leave, if that's the case, then it's like a lot of women don't want that. They want the whole package. They want the myth. They want the fairy tale. And my husband is struggling with that right now. But it may be that case for every man. Maybe it's not case for your husband. But I think that there all is a disparity in experience with the partners. And you can't expect it to be to have an even track record, so to speak. And my husband and I had that conversation. We're not going to be able to be at the same level because one needs to think. It's like a partner has a real fetish, lifestyle, and really wants to live it up in whip chains, leather, and the other prefers missionary once a week. Those never the twixt shall meet. The one partner may have one external relationship that lasts a long time, and the other may have a number of fetish partners. And that's okay. It's just as long as everybody's needs are being met and everybody's talking about it, that's the most important.
I have something to say in here too, Sarah. It feels to me like there's a whole lot of stuff knotted in here with you. And listening to you, I'm not so on the surface it can be this simple, and then it feels a little bit more complex. So the simple surface is he wants a lot of sex and you don't, and you're tired, and your sex is kind of shut down, and his sex is just want it, and so he wants it from you and he wants it from anywhere else. It could be that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And that simplicity could just simply be solved by, you guys can have an open conversation like what Emelie is saying, and then come up with a term that, let's get you some escort, some beautiful escort woman who knows how to satisfy you and love you and care for you, but they're not looking for a relationship so that he can get his sex met. And you know about it, and you could even be the one interviewing the escorts and bring them in, and so then you have some kind of control about that. That takes a lot of guts and a lot of self-ownership for you as a wife to be able to do that, but that's definitely one quote unquote simpler solution in this situation. A little deeper than that, I hear more stuff in here. I hear is there a part of you that no longer wants this relationship, or is this relationship no longer working for you guys, and so the sexing is just a big sore point that helped break the relationship? Or, has it come to an end that we need to have that conversation? Or
Oh, God.
Or is it something that you're not getting out of this relationship, and neither you are getting what you need out of this relationship? So this sex thing is flaring up like it's a big, hard thing to deal with, but really underneath it is about learning to talk and communicate, like what Emelie is saying, having a more meaningful conversation with each other so that you can really see what's going on here, and then you'll know how to react or how to create your next step with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, the relationship is not in a happy place overall, and we get along like roommates, but we don't have very much in common. We don't talk that much, and we don't have any other kind of stimulating activities that we do together.
Yeah.
And so I do, I get all that stuff through my girlfriends. So I don't feel like I'm really lacking in like intimacy in general, but I feel like, I would like to have a partner who I, am going to grow old with, that I can talk to on an intellectual level that, is interesting and stimulating, and then we maybe, have more things in common.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel, like I want that.
Yeah. And, chances are, Sarah, is that you actually already have it. He's right there in front of you. It's that you both have to learn to cultivate it. Nobody talks about cultivating companionship, cultivating how to talk to each other. You met a long time ago. You were attracted in some reason, some way. You satisfied some needs. And then you are thrown into this lifetime commitment. I had a flash of prison sentence there, but right. So I commitment, and then, but no one really say, you know what, honey, I think we have to start from ground zero. We got to start learning how to talk to each other, or finding some common interest, or finding something that we can cultivate the connection again. So it is absolutely available there for you, Sarah, but is it easy? Absolutely not. Does it take commitment? Absolutely. And I'm sure with Emelie, every day that she has to have her conversation with her husband, it's just as hard, it's just as vulnerable, it's just as crazy making in her head to have her conversation as it is for you to have yours.
Yes, yeah. It's true. It's true. And I think that no matter what happens, you do need to have a serious sit-down talk with him about where you could meet each other's needs better. Where you are feeling like you're disconnected, and that it's important to you that you feel connected to your partner. And whether or not that's with him, it's going to benefit you to cultivate these communication skills, because with him or with a future partner, you need to continue to evolve the conversation, because your needs will continue to evolve. And sometimes they can't meet you intellectually. I have that challenge with my husband. Hopefully he's not listening. But I was exactly where you are, in that he was, a frat boy, and I was a high school valedictorian, and we came together because there was an attraction, and bada bing, you get into the habit, and you get married, and you have a kid, and then you're like, oh, shit, now what? And sometimes they just aren't that person for you. And sometimes you can get those needs met in your friendship, and that's okay, because you have the whole picture met in some sort of way. It sounds like a lot of the picture is being met by your friends, but that you would also like that to be met in a romantic partner.
Yeah.
You have two coaches ganging up on you, Sarah. So I mean, we're like nonstop, right? So you over the top here. But as I'm listening to you, what I also get to is, honey, it starts with you and your relationship with yourself. Like, how are you loving yourself, and how are you having meaningful conversation with yourself? Are there places where you're hiding from yourself or hating yourself and not seeing beauty in yourself? I'm willing to bet that there are, because we all have it, And so to cultivate that and to bring back your own aliveness for yourself, has nothing to do with your husband or your kids or all that, just for yourself. That in itself will start turning things around for you.
I agree. And, something that worked for me, Sarah, is that before any of this went down, any of this conversation about opening up and all of that stuff, I went and bought myself my first vibrator.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've used one or if you have one or if you've totally lost interest in even going there, but I was there, and I had never used one before, and I was also highly orgasmic, and I used to climb poles on the kindergarten playground and be like, I'll be in a minute. Highly sensitive woman and highly sexual woman, and I lost it. And I decided that was too important of a part of me to let die. And so the first thing I did was buy a vibrator. It was terrifying. I got it in the mail, and it was huge and purple, and I was like, what?
I call it my purple wand. You had a purple wand too, huh?
I broke that thing, man. I got used to it real quick. But it really did help because I had forgotten what I wanted. I had forgotten how alive I felt when it came. And when it became a spiritual practice in and of itself and almost like a daily requirement. I mean, it's like I almost turned into a man. It was like, I need that like sexual stimulation.
Yeah.
And then I can tell my husband how to make me feel good. And after 10 years, they just get in a rut usually. And it's like, yeah, they want to have sex with you all the time, but it's like the same sex. It's, it's missionary, and then they flip you over, and then they're like, thank you, good night. I don't know if that's how it is for you, Sarah, but, that's how it turned into for me. And I was like, I don't even know how I want to be touched. And so, if you approach me and I'm, like, not totally exhausted, I may go for it, but I'm just going to, like, totally fake it. And then, will you even know the difference? Will you care? Will I care? No, good night. And that just doesn't fill you up. And so when you start with yourself, exactly as May says, and you start loving yourself and honoring your sexuality and bringing that out again, that's where it starts.
How you doing, Sarah?
Oh, I'm doing great. I think that's an excellent idea. I'm gonna do that.
You feel so much lighter. What shifted inside you? What's happening?
Oh, I guess you know how it is when you live in fear for so long, and then you're on the edge of like taking a risk, and it's like you just say, fuck it, I'm just going to do it and make it happen. I mean, I feel like I'm there, and so I'm so grateful for this call because it's like I needed some girlfriends who could speak frankly about it with me and who I could speak sort of whatever, anonymously or frankly, to about it. And
yeah. We are thrilled to be your girlfriends and to be your champions in this thing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I want you to jump, but I want you to jump into yourself. I want you to jump in finding your own joy and finding your own desire. Don't go and destroy the marriage and do ultimatums and blah blah blah. That's not the time yet. There's so much between you guys that you can work out and talk through and really create some intimacy with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have all the time in the world, and all you have to worry about is right now.
Yeah.
And right now, take care of you.
Yeah. And go find your clit again, and make some time and say, "Mama is busy right now. Go away."
Oh, cool.
Speaking of that, everyone, what are you discovering about sex, honey?
I love it. I discovered my appetite again. It's like a woman who lived on a desert island and only had coconuts to drink for 10 years, and then walked to the other side of the island, braved a bit of, a thorny path, and found a cornucopia of the most delicious, ripest,
steak,
most juicy fruit and steak and everything. And it's not like I've been with a million partners. I mean, I've had 3 total relationships outside of my marriage within the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And one of which is going to continue. And I have discovered that I love sex. I love to give and receive that pleasure and to connect with a body and honor another body and soul in this beautiful human form that we have all these nerve endings, and we are made for this.
Yeah.
And that I like sex with my husband again. We get way more creative now because I have new ideas. I mean, there's ways of having sex that I didn't have any exposure to, you know, being in a rut of 10 years. And so I discovered I like a little, you know, handcuff me, blindfold me, you know,
a little spanking and a little tie me up and take me down kind of thing, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I'm so open to the experience of it. And when you release all of your judgment and all of your inhibitions, you don't need to get wasted. You know, you just are present and receiving and giving and receiving and giving. And I can receive and give all night long. And it doesn't even have to result in sex. I mean, I had the best makeout of my entire life earlier this week, which resulted in sex last night. But
that's called a long foreplay.
It was like a 5-hour foreplay followed by a 5-day wait followed by a 5-fuck night. The magic number was 5.
5. Give me 5.
You know, and my husband knew. He knew I was going out. He knew what I was wearing. He was like, "Damn, you look hot. Like, that's going to be the trick." And, you know, I came on the floor. He's like, "Well, let's measure up." Well, I guess it did. You know, and to have that freedom, it really allows me to come into my own.
Yeah. This is the thing that I discovered as I went through my journey was that when I went from one man to the next, it triggered the old patterns of relationship and hanging on, attachment, and are we going somewhere with this? And then is this you know, all that crappy stuff. But when I have 3 to 5 men going on at the same time, I don't have time for that. I'm just like in the moment, really living and enjoying and discovering, and then opening and opening and opening and opening. And talk about moving from the scarcity mentality to an abundance world, you know, and it's so different. And that's when I discover my own sex. It's no longer about me and him. You know, it's no longer about, oh, he made me feel so good and it was so wonderful and I have to have it with him and never with anyone else and we're soulmate, you know. Crap. That's just a bunch of crap I discovered. Talk about lies, right? That old soulmate stuff, because you only got one, it's a lie. Let me tell you. When you have like 4 or 5, you can make it real good at the same time, you know, all different but all good, you realize that, oh my gosh, this is my sex. It has nothing to do with any man or any woman, and I don't need a relationship to feel this way. I can feel full and whole by myself. And that's just so freeing and so powerful.
And when you come to that, then when you go forward, you are awake.
Yes.
And so the choices you then make, maybe you do choose monogamy eventually.
Yes.
Maybe you do choose to keep it an open relationship. Maybe you choose to be gay. Maybe you choose to explore all of your options.
Yeah.
And taste every flavor in the rainbow.
Well, and
all of the packages, Skittles. And
it has nothing, and it has everything to do with the bedroom, and it has everything to do with the rest of my life also. What I discovered is that all of that is transferable. You know, I'm like, oh, now I go into a boardroom, I'm not afraid of men anymore. I can look at every one of them and I know what they desire. I know where I stand. I know my own power. I'm not afraid of their desire or whatever they got stuff going on and they may put on me, because I'm so solid in my own sex. I'm just like smiling and laughing, kind of, I get you. I'm not, you know, and I can love them and I can really connect with them appropriately. I know where my boundaries are. I know, you know, it's just like, I know. I don't have to like be in the dark and worrying and protecting my sex like it's something fragile.
Right, and it's like by awakening your sex, you kill your ego. And so there's no more stories about your inadequacy or your unlovability or your, you know, whatever it is, blah, 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 blah. It's all bullshit. And so when a relationship does end or when something doesn't go as planned in your work or with your child or with your family, you realize it is not about you. And it's okay. It should happen. It did happen. And you move on really, really quick. I mean, I had a relationship with a man outside of my marriage, and I went about it a little bit wrong. I didn't tell my husband right away, and I knew he would be hurt, and so I thought, I'll wait. I'll wait a little bit. I'll give him the chance to have his own relationship. You know, I've already gone there, so it's not like I'm not allowed. It's just I'm going to try to be kind to him and not, like, overwhelm him with how fast I move. You know, I'm going to take it easy on him. Wrong decision. And he found out because he got online and my Facebook page came up and he was like, oh, she has a new message, you know, whatever. He checks it and then he sees this whole stream with this guy and it was horrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hurt him so badly.
Yeah.
And I got super attached to this guy because he had like hot sex.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, my husband and I got past it, and we can talk about that on another show.
Yeah.
We're going to be out of time. But this guy, I mean, I got super attached really, really quick just because he was really delicious.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I sensed one day that there was a shift in energy from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd only been with him once, you know, for like a, 8-hour period or something during the day.
Yeah.
And I was going to be on my way to see him and sensed that he was not like being as receptive or as proactive responding to me.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know, hey, should I still come visit you? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, that's a ringing endorsement. Yeah, I'm gonna have my plane ticket ready at the,
right.
Freaking, yeah, no. I'm not going to go up there for a mediocre experience. I'm sorry, life's too short.
That's
and
right.
I have my shit on.
Yeah.
And so I pulled the plug. And I did it kindly, and I was like, it's okay. Like, and he was like, well, I did meet somebody else, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, so you wanted your cake and you wanted your pie. I get it.
We all do.
You know, it wasn't going to be good. It wasn't going to be good because you weren't going to be present for it. And I didn't mind sharing him with somebody else, but he didn't really want to be sharing himself or something. I don't know.
Well,
and I could have gotten really, really freaked out about that.
Yeah.
I could have turned it into a story about how she was more desirable or must have been more attractive or the sex must have been better and God, I must have fucking sucked in bed and I thought it was hot but maybe I was wrong and la. All that stuff could have just played an endless loop in my head.
Right.
And it didn't. And my ability to immediately disengage from what felt like a really strong connection, it just showed me that he was just an energetic force that came and went, and that there are others, and that I don't need to be so attached to any one person or experience, that I should just be present. And whatever shows up in the present will teach me something. Mm-hmm. And that relationship taught me to be upfront and honest with my husband. It taught me how to have really, really awful, uncomfortable conversations with him and let him cry and apologize and realize I was wrong. I mean, it has forever changed my communication with him because I couldn't and can't lie anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't. To do so would mean immediate divorce. I mean, I just know. It's unacceptable to behave like that. And now I know. And so now I'm honest, and he knows as much as he wants to know. And sometimes that's a lot. Sometimes he's like, okay, I'm good. Like, stop telling me about the blowjob. I just don't need to know. But it's changed everything. And so that is what that experience was to teach me. It was not to form this attachment to this man. It was to teach me to communicate with my husband and ultimately become a better spouse and a better lover.
Yeah, and a better friend, and just really all this, like I said in the beginning, this is expanding not just your sex. You're expanding into how you love. You're expanding to how you be in a relationship with your whole system.
Yeah.
And with yourself, and to be honest with yourself. I mean, I love how you keep highlighting that. This is just about me being honest with myself. Let's just start there. And if you can that's all you do is be honest with yourself and have some compassion for yourself. It's a wonderful.
You're on your way.
Yeah, totally.
You're on your way. And you don't need an open relationship to do that. It's not like I say, this is the only way.
Yeah.
It's just a really good spiritual opportunity to be very authentic and to ask for and get what you rightfully deserve.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your question and also your tender life story right now. I know it's not easy to share that and to be in that. So I want to just appreciate you for that.
I guess I feel like, if Emelie and you are bold enough to come out and talk about what you're talking about, that I could be vulnerable in the other direction, right?
Awesome. Thank you for meeting us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Emelie, if Sarah or anyone else want to get a hold of you, tell them how they can get a hold of you, honey.
Absolutely. You can email me. I have all sorts of questions coming in all the time by email, and I answer questions anonymously if you would wish. On my website, I have a weekly video blog. So you can email me at hello@yourrevolution.com, and it's YOUREVELOUTION. So it's revel, as in reveling, revolution, yourevolution.com. Hello@yourevolution.com, and come over to the website where my Thirsty Thursday blog is sure to quench your thirst for information, passion, inspiration, and a little sexual healing.
Woohoo! Thank you, Emelie, for being here and for sharing your just-in-time story. And I wish you and your husband a beautiful unfolding, and just awesome deep intimacy, and may the love grow.
Thank you. Yeah. I have no doubt it will.
Yeah. All right. Again, my name is May, M-A-I. Last name is Vu, V-U. And I work with individuals and couples to help them reinvent their sex lives and connections so that they don't have to cheat or have divorces. You can find and connect with me on Facebook. Look me up at May Vu, M-A-I-V-U, or my Sex, Lies, and Consciousness fan page. It's probably a lot easier. Maybe from Pleasanton, because there are a gazillion Maybu on Facebook. The next show will be next Monday, March 19 at 9 a.m. Pacific. It's a special show on that one because I am accommodating my guests from Dubai. We are going to, they have an 11-hour time zone difference, and we're going to add some culture to the show and learn about sex, lies, and consciousness in Dubai. I can't wait for that show. Thank you so much for listening to my show, The Voice of Healthy Sex. My ultimate goal is to help us get a hold of our sex, own it, play with it, have power over it, and let it fully serve us, bring us joy and freedom. Talk to you next time. Namaste.
Namaste.